We've had British and Irish and Scottish comedians coming to Bahrain since the 90s. Stand-up comedy fans exist in Bahrain, but what we're lacking is a comedy culture. When things weren't going well, I started this thing called Share Your Trauma. And it got funny because people started to share funny stories about the stuff they were going through. And then this one girl says, "Can I share?" And she's like, "How bad can I go?" And I was like, "Go ahead." And she says, someone asked me, they're like, "You've offended people from your jokes, right?" Yeah, how offensive are you? I get uninvited to weddings. Have I ever thought of giving up? All the time. Before that show, I was actually thinking, I'm like, I'm so tired. Should I just put it behind me? Next thing you know, I'm in Dubai in front of 8,000 people. I've worked with a lot of comedians. I've opened for some really good names, but nothing compares to working with Bassem Youssef. One of the first pieces of advice I received was, you are not a comedian until you bomb on stage. And I didn't get it. And that comedian who gave me that piece of advice was Russell Peters.
Welcome back to the Byrne podcast. My guest today is Imran Al Aradi, Bahrain-based stand-up comedian, MC, and one of the most recognisable voices in the Gulf comedy scene. 2 decades on stage, 200 plus shows across 7 countries, and the guy who opened for Bassem Youssef in front of 8,000 people in Dubai. He also spent 17 years on live radio in Bahrain, so there's a decent chance he was the soundtrack to your morning commute without you ever knowing his face. Today we get into a lot of ground. The grind of building a comedy career from scratch, opening for comedy legends, building the comedy culture in Bahrain through his sometimes funny nights, using humour as a weapon, and why confidence is a skill that anyone can learn. It went in a lot of directions, which I always enjoy. Interestingly, across Spotify and YouTube, around 70% of listeners aren't currently subscribed. So if you are enjoying these conversations, it would mean a great deal if you could support in that way. Thank you. Now here is my conversation with Imran Al Aradi. It's a learning process, so yeah. So we move on. But no, as we were saying before.
So
that,
yeah, you're talking about the comedy scene in Bahrain. So the comedy scene is very interesting in Bahrain. So I have a lot of people who are trying to enter the Bahraini market as promoters.
Mhm.
And they're like, "How is the comedy scene?" And I'm like, "Listen, has always Bahrain's always had a comedy scene. A lot of people don't know this, but we've had British and Irish and Scottish comedians coming to Bahrain since the 90s.
Right.
And what does that mean? That means that stand-up comedy fans exist in Bahrain.
Mhm.
All right. But what we're lacking is a comedy culture. Now, what's the difference? The difference is when someone attends a comedy show, okay, because they've been, whether it's a small show or a big show in Bahrain, they see the finalized product on stage.
Right.
What they don't know is that for that stand-up comedian to develop that 20-minute set or that 1 hour set has taken them forever.
Mhm.
So when I introduced the process of creating that set, there's still a lot of people who still don't understand it. And it's as simple as, I've written some material and now I'm going to test it, on a small audience. And I'm still in that process where I'm finding the best way to educate the market,
Mhm.
where when I organize an open mic night, and if you show up expecting a Netflix special, you are going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
And this has happened to me once. I wrote a bunch of jokes. I made a night out of it, similar to the night you guys attended.
Mhm.
And I literally got up on stage. I said, "Hey guys, I've written." I always make it a point to mention it in the beginning of the evening.
Sure.
"Hey guys, I've written a bunch of jokes. I want to test it out. You guys want to rate the jokes with me? You guys want to give it a title?" So I make them part of the writing process.
Mhm.
And it was a fun night. Then I got home, and then there was this comment on Instagram, and it was someone who attended the open mic night, and she said, "I've seen him at the bigger shows. He was great. However, tonight I felt like he was testing his jokes on us." And I wanted to reply with that's actually the point. That's the process of, being a stand-up comedian. That's the tough part. I'm like, you're witnessing the creation of something a lot bigger. But luckily I had friends and just random people who kind of did that for me. And the best way to explain it is I remember a friend of mine who was in the US, and he's like, "Hey man, I'm at this comedy club and Chris Rock walked in." I'm like, "Wow, that's amazing." And he's like, "Yeah, unannounced." I'm like, "That's brilliant. How was it?" And he's like, "Oh, it wasn't great." And he was so disappointed. And I'm like, "That's okay, but you got to see Chris Rock live." I'm like, That's amazing." And he's like, "Yeah, but he wasn't that funny." I'm like, "Because he was probably testing new material." And he's like, "Oh, is that a thing?" And I'm like, "Yes." Like what you see on Netflix, it's not, "Hey, Netflix, I just wrote a new 1 hour and I'm going to show up and I'm going to, you know, drop this amazing comedy set and then it's going to break world records." No,
Hmm.
it takes forever. So I'm in that process where I'm trying to educate the market that the whole process of being a stand-up comedian, you have to earn the title stand-up comedian.
Hmm.
I didn't even call myself a stand-up comedian until I finished 4 to 5 years of doing comedy. So
Yeah.
when people ask me, "Are you the comedian?" I'm like, "Well, I do comedy, but can I give myself the title? No." And maybe after all these years, I could finally say, "Yeah, I've done enough to gain the title."
Hmm.
Um, but that's the interesting part about the scene. But the other part is, and this is a positive thing, Bahrain now has a taste for international talent. Meaning, we're not just watching them on Netflix and YouTube, we're watching them in front of us. I mean, to me, it's a big deal that we got to see Kevin Hart, Trevor Noah, Michael McIntyre, Joe Coy. We've seen Russell Peters several times, and I think that's absolutely amazing. The market needed that.
Yeah.
But then what ends up happening is the market's not going to sit there and say, "Oh, I've been to these local comedy nights. They're not great. I just rather, save myself the trouble and my money and just go watch, I don't know, one of the class A comedians
Hmm.
coming to Bahrain."
Yeah.
Those are two different things. So,
Yeah.
so I think the more we get on stage, the more open mic nights we host, um, the more random comedy nights we put
Mm.
together, eventually the market's going to understand that, there is the amateur comedy nights where it's fun, it's
Mm.
simple. You can show up in your shorts and just
Mm.
chill. And then you've got the legends who show up. Like we watched Bill Burr,
Mm.
and I loved watching Bill Burr live. I was lucky. I managed to get a front row seat,
Mm.
and I'm just sitting there watching him going. And when you're a stand-up comedian, you watch comedy from a different lens. So I was just sitting there watching him going, "Wow, he's got a list of stuff he's wondering if he could talk about." And we're like, "Oh, he's testing the waters here."
Mm.
Oh, so the whole time everyone's laughing, but I'm fascinated.
So you're concentrating on kind of the technical aspect as well, or the kind of behind the curtain, as well as being entertained. But I
Yes,
guess you,
it's
how do you sort of juggle that? Because you go to an event probably to be entertained, but also to kind of get some inspiration and stuff as well.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Watching Bill Burr, Mu'amar. I mean, I've seen Chappelle live.
Hmm.
Um, so that is definitely one of the most inspirational things you can do.
Hmm.
I mean, or definitely the right place to be inspired.
Hmm.
When I watched Chappelle, it was at the Etihad Arena in Abu Dhabi. I think it's 16,000 people went to watch Dave Chappelle. And when he made his entrance, he had a falcon on his forearm. He walked in with a falcon. And he had a really cool DJ. He made everybody stand up before Chappelle came in. And his
Hmm.
entrance was epic.
Yeah.
While everyone's just excited to see Chappelle, I'm thinking, what kind of brand do you have to develop for you to announce a show in a completely different city, far away from where you come from? And then you're going to sell out an arena because people just want to watch you talk.
Mm.
And I'm like thinking, I'm like, wow, this guy is he's creating history.
Hmm.
So I'm looking at it from that lens,
Yeah.
that it wasn't just an overnight thing. He had the Chappelle show, he's done his other comedy specials, and then he disappeared for God knows how long. and then showed up breaking world records. That's insane. So I'm looking at it from that lens,
Yeah.
while everyone around me is just laughing and are
Hmm.
super excited, and I'm like thinking, what do I do when I go back home? How can I be a better comedian? So yeah, that's the best place to go and
Mm.
be motivated.
So you take like bits and pieces of, I guess, from different comedians. Like with Bill Burr, you were saying he had a list with him, or he had notes with him,
Yeah.
so he was basically testing
So
material.
yeah, so again, it's not like I had a conversation with him,
Yeah.
but I was just connecting the dots.
Yeah.
So when we watched Bill Burr, he performed in Bahrain before he performed in Riyadh.
Mm.
So Bill Burr, if I'm not mistaken, has played Abu Dhabi before, but never Bahrain, and it was his first time playing in Saudi. So I was I had a feeling he was probably nervous about what he could or he couldn't say. So he had a list with him, and I was sitting right in the front, and I'm looking at it. Obviously, I can't see what he has on his list, but I could tell he kept referring back to it. So I was wondering, is that a list of things he believes he can't talk about, or is it just a list of his jokes that he wants to see if it works in the Middle East? So he kind of, so I felt like Bahrain was his open mic before he went to Riyadh.
Mm.
I could be wrong. I'm hoping one day I run into Bill Burr and I ask him that question. So I'm looking at all of this and I'm like, would I do something like that if I went to another city? I mean, he had the opportunity to be in front of thousands of people. I had a
Mm.
similar experience in Dubai, and I'll tell you about that in a bit. Just so I don't keep talking too much.
It's
I
all
have a
right.
habit of
No, it's fine.
not
It's fine.
stopping.
It's not it. The show isn't about me, so it's good if someone gets in flow and keeps speaking. So that's good. Don't be ashamed of that, or don't be afraid of that. But yeah, it's as you were saying about the culture in out in the Gulf. You're trying to maybe kind of change people's outlook on comedy, as opposed to, I think a lot of people see the end product, as you were saying,
Yes.
and they say they might have it in their head that they want to eventually do comedy, but they're like, how do I get there? So I guess what you're trying to do is to show them that there is a path, and to kind of remove the what would you say, what would the word, the intimidation,
Yes.
I think, of it, because they,
Yeah.
and even people's outlook on testing material and open mic, as you're saying, a lot of people say, oh, it seemed like he was testing material, but you're trying to break that stigma to say this is something we need.
This is the process. Something funny
Mm.
happened. I was in the middle of an open mic night, and
Hmm.
somebody actually walked up to me and he's like, "So you're testing material on us?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "So technically you should pay us. We shouldn't pay to be here." And I'm like, "Maybe in a different world, yeah." But yeah, so the more people get on stage and try it,
Mm.
um, the more we will understand what it takes to get into or be a stand-up comedian. And I'm actually quite happy in comparison to 2, 3 years ago. I mean,
Mm.
you've been to my show or my open mic night, and then
Hmm.
I did a free night.
Hmm.
People just get up on stage, and what I do, I change the open mic nights a little. And
Hmm.
what I did is I would let them own the evening in terms of the marketing, the flow, the even their material. So what I do is I give them the rules, and we'll
Hmm.
talk about the rules in a bit. And that's actually one of my favorite topics, the
Hmm.
rules. Who came up with these rules, you know?
Yeah.
And that's a whole different conversation. So I give them the rules, and I say, stick to these rules. You have you can do either 3 minutes, you can do 5 or 7. I'll leave it up to you. Always go for a shorter set that's good opposed to a longer set that's okay. And every open mic night I ask who wants to host this evening. So it's a different person every time. So the the performers get the opportunity to experience what it feels like to be the host of the evening. It's a lot of work.
Hmm.
And I don't get involved in marketing. I would purely invite maybe 5 to 6 people and then tell them, you decide how you want to market this.
Okay.
And I made sure there's no ticket fee. It's free. And I'm like, whether you just want to text a bunch of friends, whether you want to put it on your social media, whether you want to make a creative flyer, put your face on it and say, I'm testing new material or I'm doing comedy for the first time. So they end up having that sense of belonging. We're like, oh, this is our night.
Hmm.
I used to do all of that for them. And I realized I made it, I kind of miscommunicated what it's like. Where they showed up, there were about 100 people in the in the hall, and they were like, "Oh, so this is what it is." And I'm like, "No, you have to earn it." There are comedy clubs in different countries where if you're not bringing four people with you, they won't
Mhm.
let you perform.
Okay.
And I recently found that out. Um, Dubai has a great comedy scene.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's fantastic.
Mhm.
So I started one comedy room. We can call it a comedy room or a platform. Dubai has like 20
Mhm.
just in Dubai.
Yeah.
And
And is that recent in Dubai, or have they
in the
been?
past 4 to 5 years,
Okay.
they there's always that one key person who starts it, and then other people kind of start their own, and the next thing you know, it's not just one place you can test material. There are multiple places. And 2 years ago, I went to Dubai. I stayed there for about 10 days.
Mhm.
I did like three open mic nights. I just would randomly text, and I got to meet Dubai-based comics, and they're great people.
Mhm.
And I'm like, "Hey, is there an open mic night going on?" They're like, "Yeah, we've got one. There's a spot if you'd like." I'm like, "Yeah, sure." I'd show up and just
Mhm.
test material that I was writing here in Bahrain. Um, and about the opportunity to test your material before
Mhm.
you go to a bigger show, I had the pleasure and the privilege of doing that with Bassem Youssef, the Egyptian
Yeah.
American comedian.
Mhm. He's great.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
fantastic. Now, see, I've worked with a lot of comedians. I've opened for some really good names, but nothing compares to working with Bassem Youssef.
Mhm.
And it's not just because of his presence on stage, it's because the kind of person he is.
Yeah.
He's kind, very respectful, and he will give you the importance that I was actually at one moment I was like, I actually feel bad. I feel like I'm taking up his time. He needs to go and rest and prep for his show, but he's like, no, you come with me to the sound check. And then he would talk to the staff, and then he would give the opening act the importance as well.
Mhm.
I've opened for certain comedians and I didn't even get to talk to them,
Yeah.
but he made sure that we were talking throughout before the show even started, and even after the show. I'm a nobody compared to who Bassem Youssef is, but after the show, he came up to me and he's like, How was that? Do you think it was good?" And I'm like, "Are you serious? Was that good? That was amazing."
Yeah.
And the fact that he was asking me that
Mm.
question, I felt so important. I'm like, wow, he cares about my opinion. And so I opened for him in Bahrain.
Mhm.
Fantastic experience. And then watching him perform was amazing. But Dubai was completely different. So we went to Dubai the following week, and he asked me, he's like, "Do you want to get on the show?" And I'm like, I'd love to, yeah. And Dubai now has a fantastic comedy club. It's called the Pepperoni Comedy Club. It's a legit stand-up comedy
Mm.
venue
Okay.
where the dining area is separate and the performance area are separate. So when you're performing, you don't have servers walking around. You
Yeah.
won't hear that
Mhm.
the cutlery,
Yeah.
on the plates. No one's serving food back and forth.
Mhm.
It's the perfect venue for comedy. And we did a show there, about a
Mhm.
hundred people.
Nice.
Of course, he was the headlining act of the evening. And it was me and three other local acts. And it
Mhm.
wasn't a show that was announced, it was invite only. Uh, and we got to kind of test our
Mhm.
jokes that we're going to be performing in front of a much bigger audience in Dubai a night before the big show. And, I did about 5 to 7 minutes, and then
Mhm.
Bassem Youssef showed up at the end. And the Dubai-based comics were great.
Yeah.
Shout out to Abs Ali. If he ever
Mhm.
sees this, he's a
Mhm.
amazing person and a fantastic comedian, and he will show you nothing but support and love.
Okay.
No agendas.
Yeah.
Whenever I go to Dubai or I'm in UAE, I'd text him and he would go out of his way to be like, "Hey, do you want to get on one of the shows? Do you want to do an open mic night?" And if there's one thing I learned from him is um, being supportive is very, very important because we have to kind of carry each other. And
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to bring that up because you hear that time and time again on big comedy podcasts and stuff. They talk about the importance of
Oh yeah.
lifting each other up, supporting each other, because it's not always selfless, because I mean, if you help someone out in the future, then you know they
Mm.
might bring you along to their shows if they make it, or if they get beyond. But it's I've noticed that it is a very kind of wholesome circuit in comedy, where everyone is very supportive, because everyone is grinding and trying to do their best. So I mean, I don't think you would last too long if you were selfish
Yes.
in the comedy scene.
And I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen
Mm.
when someone doesn't want to be a team player.
Yeah.
And again, you can show support in different ways.
Mm.
There are many ways to support um, a fellow comedian.
Mm.
I found out about a Dubai-based comic coming to Bahrain. I've never met him in my life,
Mm.
but I realized there were mutual friends between me and him, and we connected on Instagram. I pulled a bunch of friends with me. I said, let's go watch his show. And, we connected before and after the show. And
Mm.
what did I do other than just telling a bunch of friends to show up with me?
Yeah.
And we all had a great time because he was a
Mm.
great comedian.
Yeah, and it means a lot to them as well.
Yeah. So,
And it's
but it has to be genuine.
yeah.
And I'll tell you what I mean by that. So there are comedians who will help you because they're expecting something in return. And when they
Yeah.
don't get it, they will just cut you off and they would never want to talk to you again. And I feel that's a little weird
Mm-hmm.
because through comedy, I've made some really good friendships. And we don't care if, we get each other gigs or not. We just enjoy each other's company.
Mm-hmm.
So when we do comedy together,
Yeah.
it's like an added bonus.
Mm.
And that's why I like Abz Ali a lot. And that's why I make the effort to mention him by name because
Mm-hmm.
since I honestly don't even remember how I met him. I don't think
Yeah.
I've ever told him,
Mm-hmm.
but he's always been so kind and supportive,
Mm.
and it 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 develops this friendship where you kind of check in on each other every now and then when you see this person doing well, you're genuinely happy for them. So that's why it has to be genuine. It has to come from a good place.
Yeah.
But Dubai was good because we performed in front of 100 people.
Mm-hmm.
The next day it was at the Coca-Cola Arena.
Wow, that's thousands.
That's thousands, and I wasn't aware how many people, what
Mm-hmm.
kind of audience it was going to be until I got there. And I remember we were doing sound check, and I got out and I looked at the arena. I was like, wow. And I asked one of the producers, I'm like, how many people are coming tonight? And he's like, oh, it's a sold out show. I'm like, what's sold out? And he's like, 8,000 people are coming tonight. Now, in the normal world, I would get nervous, right? But I got so excited and
Mm.
like, wow,
Good.
what a privilege to be here.
Mm-hmm.
What an honor. Like I'm like, wow, I will never forget this opportunity. I remember my opening line was I first I just went around the side and I'm just looking at this ocean of people. And it wasn't planned. Like usually you have to be very careful to use untested material or new jokes in front of an audience that big.
Yeah.
But I couldn't help it. I just looked around and I'm like, wow, I can't believe everybody came to see me. And
It's a nice cheesy icebreaker.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that got the audience going.
Mm.
And I feel like I could have done a lot better because I couldn't hear the laughter. I was warned. They're like, it's an arena. Take your time. When you hit the punchline, you might not hear the laughter until a second or two later.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize until it happened.
Right.
It hit me like a wave. And I don't think I'm ever going to forget that feeling. I love the intimate shows, but
Mm.
performing at an arena was completely different ballgame.
Yeah, different vibe, different feeling.
Yeah, yeah. I did talk to the person in front, on the front row, and then I realized I'm talking to someone in the front row. There are like 8,000 people around wondering who is this guy talking to. They're not even going to be able to see this person unless the cameras catch him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's what I love about the intimate shows. I can talk to someone sitting all the way at the back.
Yeah, you could probably do crowd work with each person in the room if you
Yeah.
wanted.
But the arena was something. And again, I will be forever grateful to Bassem Youssef for that opportunity
Mm-hmm.
because um, this is a question someone asked me in one of my workshops, and that was you.
Mm-hmm.
Have I ever thought of giving up? All the time.
Yeah.
And before that show, I was actually thinking, I'm like, I'm so tired. Should I just start applying for jobs and
Mm.
turn this into, a hobby, something, and just put it behind me and just
Yeah.
go on? And then next thing you know, I'm in Dubai at a legit comedy club, followed by in front of 8,000 people, opening for not just a great talent, but he was such a nice guy, and
Mm.
and that makes all the difference, by
Yeah.
the way.
Because there's a big intimidation factor as well in terms of like the amount of people in the crowd, and then a big name like Bassem Youssef, and that you just probably feel a lot of pressure when you hear the name and where you. But I guess having met him beforehand and doing
Yeah.
smaller gigs with him and stuff, I guess it kind of just broke that sort of that barrier of who he comes across as in the media, and then he's just a person. And as you said, he's very affable and unassuming and down to earth, I
Oh,
would say.
very, very down to earth. I mean, someone with Bassem Youssef's
Mm.
brand, his history, his achievements, when someone like him talks to you with kindness and respect, it immediately makes me wonder. I'm like, this is Bassem Youssef, who is so kind and humble. Why are some of the local or regional talents so full of themselves? You know? Um,
Yeah, you could use a few choice words, but we won't.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so when I meet local talent or regional talent with a lot of ego,
Mm.
I just remember I'm like, wow, there's Bassem Youssef, who's you'd randomly see him on Piers Morgan.
Mm. Yeah.
That stuff is getting millions and millions of views.
Mm.
Uh, and and then when he announces a show, he's selling out. There were 8,000 people who went to see him in Dubai, and he will treat you with the highest level of respect and kindness. And people have actually asked me, they're like, "Hey, we heard he's really nice. Is that true?" I'm like, "You have no idea. He's he's so kind. It's almost that it's not real. He's
Mm.
so sweet. So
Yeah.
that's what I tell the local talents. And when they ask me for advice, I'm like, just don't be a terrible person.
Yeah.
Just by the way, it's because you're recording. I'm not using what I actually told them.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, and it's good advice. It's simple advice, but sometimes some people find it hard to follow. But I think that's why Bassem Youssef has done so well and resonated with a lot of people,
Mm.
especially he's been very proactive in the media scene the last 3 years with everything that was going on in
Mm,
Gaza, and he's very outspoken, and everyone's thankful for that because he sticks up for people
yes.
and he calls things out, and he's able to use comedy very effectively to to counter arguments, especially when he's on Piers Morgan and stuff like that. He says a lot of stuff that's funny, but it hits and it resonates and it has a deeper meaning. And I think it's very important him being able to use his platform and comedy to communicate and to I guess debate.
My favorite thing about watching Bassem Youssef perform is his Q&A sessions at the end.
Mm.
And somebody asked him a question, and I went back home thinking about it. The question was, "You are a heart surgeon. Why and how did you become a comedian?"
Mm-hmm.
And his answer was, he's like, this is where life took me.
Yep.
He's like, this is not easy. He's like, you think I enjoy this? He's like, I'm on stage. I'm looking for validation. I'm looking for your approval. And then he talked about his struggles, and I'm listening to all of this, and I'm like, that's exactly how I feel. Because if I have a bad day at work,
Mm.
I have people going home saying, "Oh, he wasn't that funny. I'm never going to go see him again." And that's happened.
Mm.
2 years ago, I had an open mic night where uh, none of my jokes were working. Nothing was hitting. Oh my God, it was the most difficult time on stage. And when I realized my jokes are not hitting, what am I going to do? I'm going to start improvising. But I feel like I put the audience in such a bad place that my improv or my crowd work
Mm.
was not even working, because now they're like, this guy is not funny. I don't want him to talk to us. Oh, his material is not working, so now he's going to talk to me and try to make comedy out of this. I'm guessing that's what went through their heads, because nobody wanted to talk to me.
Mhm.
And I'm on stage with jokes that are not working.
And what does that feel like in the moment? Because I guess with any sort of anxiety in a public setting, what's going through your head is the worst case scenario. So you're assuming what everyone's thinking. Ooh. Um, sorry, that's yeah, it's a bit. Oh, there you go.
It's okay.
Yeah, that should be all right.
Yeah, that's good.
Sweet. Yeah, it's a very tough thing to in any sort of public setting when you do have that anxiety or things aren't going well. If whether it's giving a speech or doing comedy, and you're saying you were assuming what they were thinking, they don't want me to. They don't. Oh, I don't want him to engage with me because I'm not enjoying what he's saying, so I don't want
Yeah.
to give him any more. Yeah. What does that? What do you start to feel in that moment? What's the kind of emotions?
Wow. So I'll tell you what was going through my head when that was happening. I think it's different every time.
Mm,
At that time, I remember that it was one of those comedy nights where one person goes on before me and then I take over the rest of the evening.
okay.
And it's a combination of me testing new material, some crowd work, and then I pull out my guitar and I have something called the comedy journal where I read out jokes that never really developed into, fully cooked jokes.
Mm,
So I play serious chords and I just read out these one-liners.
okay. Yeah.
So I end up being on stage for about 1 hour. And then with the person who goes on before me, it's about an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes. So it's a whole night. So I remember what was going through my head is it's been 15 minutes and the night's not going well. And I have to give them value for what they paid for. If usually when the set's not going well, I end it because I'm like, I'm not going to put them through any more pain.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to say, thank you very much. Good night. I'll see you guys next time. But I'm like, if I do that, it's going to be so awkward. So I'm like, I'm going to take this as a challenge and see if I can win them over. Did I win them over? Not all of them. Was it a bad night? It was a terrible night. But in my head, I'm thinking, I remember it was going through my head. There were several thoughts. First thought was, I need to be on stage for at least another 45 minutes. I need to make this work. That was the first thought. The second thought was that I have friends who are very supportive, and it's just coincidence. Whenever they make the effort to show up, it's a bad night. So I'm like, I feel so bad. Like I've disappointed my friends where they're
Mm,
making the effort to show up and be supportive.
yeah.
And then Imran gets on stage and does a terrible job. So I'm like, I feel so bad for them. I wish I could do something for them. Do I give them their money back? Do I send them flowers? I don't know. Uh, the third thought was, you want to be a stand-up comedian? You got to keep going through this.
Mm,
You're going to have bad nights on stage. It's not always going to be a good evening.
mm,
And believe it or not, one of the first pieces of advice I received was, you are not a comedian until you bomb on stage. And I didn't get it. And that comedian who gave me that piece of advice was Russell Peters.
oh wow.
He played Bahrain in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
I was, lucky that I got to be around. I was like a volunteer at the show. I was the
Mm-hmm.
guy driving him around. So I got to talk to him, and prior to the show in Bahrain, I met him in Jordan. I was at the Amman Comedy Festival. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't performing, but I was there in the light of representing Bahrain, and he was headlining, and we were the only two brown guys there. So he just looked at me and he was like, "Are you Indian?" I'm like, "No, I'm half Bahraini, half Pakistani." And then he was like, "Where in Pakistan?" I said, "Karachi." And he's like, "You're a Barachi?" And I'm like, "Yes." So that immediately
Yeah.
that
Mm-hmm.
Russell Peters humor came out. So inside, I was freaking out. I was in my 20s.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to talk to Russell Peters at that age. And then I remember I dropped him to the airport. And again, I'm like, I'm freaking out the whole time. He has no idea.
Yeah.
And I said, Russell, is any piece of advice? I just started comedy. Anything And he's like, you have to be willing to be broke for the next 5 to 6 years of your life. I didn't get what he was trying to tell me until it actually happened. And then he said, you are not a comedian until you bomb on stage. He's like, have you bombed on stage? And I'm like, I've only been on stage for a few times and they all went well. He's like, no, you have to bomb. And when I realized his advice was really good, it's because when I bombed on stage, I went back home, I slept on it, I got back the next day, and I'm like, I'm ready to get back. I'm ready to get back on stage. Because I have seen so many people have a bad experience and they never get back on stage again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's what he meant. You have to have that kind of that muscle, that nerve, that willingness to get back on stage after a bad night. And that one night I'm never going to forget, that was 2 years ago. Part of me is happy that I forgot to hit the record button on the camera. I record all my open mic nights. That night, I didn't record my set. Not that anyone's going to miss anything, but I'll tell you how bad that night was. So when things weren't going well, I started this thing called Share Your Trauma. And it got funny because people started to share funny stories about the stuff they were going through. And then this one girl says, "Can I share?" And one of my standard jokes and comedy shows, anything and then everything you tell me is confidential. Don't worry about it. She's like, "How bad can I go?" And I was like, "Uh-oh." And I'm like, "You know what? Go ahead." And she says, "My mother committed suicide." There were 100 people in that show. And I don't think like, even the servers, the staff, everybody just went quiet. And they're all looking at me. What are you going to say, Imran? How are you going to recover from this? That was already a heavy night. I just invited her on stage, thanked her for sharing. I gifted her a t-shirt and I said, "You're very brave." And I sent her back to her seat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's, yeah. Because what else can you do really in that moment? I mean, some comedians who are very dark might double down and try to pull a joke out of that, but it's in that moment, I don't.
I
Yeah.
see, in all honesty, I could have taken that turn,
Mm-hmm.
but don't forget, remember when I talked about the rules?
Yep.
We are in Bahrain. Actually, yeah, sure. I wasn't sure if this was like for decoration purposes or if this was actual water I can drink.
But sorry, I interrupted you there.
No, no, it's all good. Um,
You could have gone the other direction.
yeah, now see, when it comes to the rules on stage, there is no entity that walks up to you and says, "These are the stand-up comedy rules." Okay? There are rules or generic rules for being on stage, whether it's a comedy show, whether it's a theoretical performance, whether it's even a music concert. But there is no recognized document or set rules. There is the obvious, of course. So what I did is I kept it very simple, and it filters out a lot of talent who believe that in order to be funny, you have to be vulgar or only talk about sexual topics. And to me, that's not true. It could be looked at as a comedy hack, where a lot of comedians or people who want to do comedy, they only want to talk about sexual content. And I'm like, I don't recommend. And what's their argument? Oh, the big names do it. I'm like, yeah, when you become a big name, say whatever you want.
Yeah, it's because of who you are
Yeah.
sometimes. Not to say that you don't have to say something funny, but if you come on and you say a kind of a lame joke, people are going to laugh because it's just that subconscious bias, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah.
So to me, at my open mic nights,
Mm.
simple. You ready for the rules? No sex, no politics, no religion.
Okay.
Those three you stay away from.
Mm-hmm.
I rather the performer doesn't swear. Okay, so that's part of the rules as well.
Mm-hmm.
No hate speech. So tomorrow I have a problem with you. I get up on stage, I start blurting out your personal information. No.
Mm.
Okay. Um, I even tell them, be careful when you're making fun of brands and products. You don't know who you're going to upset.
Mm.
And they're like, Imran, don't you think that's a little extreme? I'm like, no. We have to respect the country we're in.
Mm.
And this is actually a funny story, but I use it when it comes to talking about the brands. We so I've done two big local productions in Bahrain. And when I say me, I mean I performed. I did not invest.
Mhm.
In one of the shows, one of the opening acts had a joke about, uh, I believe it was one of the food delivery services. So the organizers asked him, "Can you give us an idea of what kind of jokes you're going to be telling?" So he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to be making fun of this company and then I'm going to make fun of that." And they're like, "Sorry, you can't do that." He's like, "Why not? But it will be so funny." And they're like, "This is non-negotiable because we have a very strong commercial relationship with that company, and we do not want one of the talents we hire to make fun of them in that way on a show we're organizing." They're like, "We care about that relationship." And then he was like, "Oh, I never thought about it that way." And then I told him, I'm like, "Yeah, it's unless you're giving them a shout out and bigging them up,
Mm.
but if your joke is, punching down on the brand, on their service, I'm like, no, you're going to ruin the organizer's relationship with them. And honestly, you don't want to do that."
Mhm.
So there are so many things a comedian has to be careful of, a local comedian, when performing. Um, so I don't know if I told you this. For my open mic nights, I make all of them sign a disclaimer.
Okay.
All of them have to sign a disclaimer, and it's a very detailed disclaimer.
Yeah.
It's called performer terms,
Mhm.
about staying away from those topics. They are responsible for what they say on stage.
Mhm.
Um, and that also gives the venue the comfort that if anyone decides to get angry and take legal action or cause trouble, that the venue is aware that there is paperwork that was done that kind of controls the situation. And
Mhm.
more than anything, it shows the performer the importance of being respectful to the rules.
Mhm.
That's very, very important. By the way, um, 2008, one of my first shows in Dubai,
Mhm.
I was new to comedy. I don't even know what I was doing, but I was lucky enough to get a lot of gigs
Mhm.
that, you know, uh, gave me the experience of traveling and
Yeah.
meeting new people. A lot of people don't know this. I did a show in Dubai. Whitney Cummings was on that show.
Oh wow.
And I can't
Mm.
find the pictures, but I found the poster.
Okay.
And I was on stage. I was the host. And this was before Whitney Cummings had the Whitney show.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
it was a lot of fun performing with her, by the way.
Mhm.
And because I come from two different cultures, w- I make fun of nationalities, of different cultures, languages.
Yep.
So I had this whole joke about my Indian friends. Now that I think about it, the audience were laughing, but it wasn't that funny. I don't know. And it was something about, I'm like, why are my Indian friends always yelling on the phone? Why is it always on speaker phone? Uh, and then anyway, I did the joke. Everybody liked it. I got off stage. I was the host, right? So I was standing on the side of the stage waiting for whoever's on stage to finish. And seven people walked up to me. I counted, and they were from India. The guy walked up to me. His first question was, "Where are you from?" And I very proudly said, "Oh, I'm Bahraini, but I'm half Pakistani as well. That's how I speak the language." And I thought this is going to be a friendly conversation. And he said, "What you said was unacceptable. What you said was not true. We are not happy, and we're going to voice this to the management." And they walked out of the show. they were the platinum sponsors of the show.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Did I get in trouble? No. Did I feel bad? A little. Because what I said wasn't really offensive. It was an observation. I didn't take a dig at the culture or the religion, or
Hmm.
it was just habits my Indian friends had. And they were not happy.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know what happened after that because I came back to Bahrain, although I
Okay.
was in touch with the organizers.
Yeah.
And I remember at the show, one of the girls comes up to me. She was part of the organizing team, and she's like, "Do you have any more jokes about Indians?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "Good. Please don't say them." And that's when I realized they were the platinum sponsors of the
Okay.
show. So,
Yeah. It was a tough crowd, but also, yeah, the sponsor. But I don't know. I think that kind of humor, that's not like racial humor. It's just a funny observation. Same with like when I went to like did you go to Michael McIntyre when he was here?
yes,
It was
yes, I was
fantastic.
there.
But
Loved it.
he's great with that sort of thing. With oh, this is how Irish people do stuff. This is how people from Yorkshire do it, and it's hilarious, and
Yeah,
it feeds into some stereotypes. But
yeah. Like
I
his
mean, you
whole
don't,
joke about how Americans speak English. Have
yeah,
you seen that one? That's
weight
hilarious.
waste paper basket,
Yes.
yeah,
Eyeglasses.
eyeglasses, horseback riding,
Horse.
yeah, turning circle instead of roundabout, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, so I feel like you will never know what upsets who when you're performing. And I've had random people get upset at the most random things I say on stage. And
Mm,
to me, I'm like thinking if I was to create a rule book and I present it to someone and I say, These are the rules before getting up on stage, and this is my 15 years of upsetting people on stage,"
mm.
they're not going to be able to perform.
Yeah, because if it's a rule, if there's a rule made for each person who's gotten offended,
Yes.
that just because the people, I think people misconstrue or they misunderstand. Some people misunderstand the concept of comedy.
Yes.
Comedy, it's not all truth. This isn't your core feeling when you make a joke, and that's always what they try to emphasize. It's like I've said something that could offend you, but I didn't really mean it. It was a joke, but some people take it as
Oh, yeah.
face value, and it's
And plus, I think going to a comedy show, then
mm,
getting offended is the weirdest thing on earth.
mm,
Um, like, I've been to comedy shows where comedians have said some really uncomfortable stuff, but am I going to get offended, go back home, and go on a rant on social media or confront the comedian? No. Um, I'm, okay, maybe I'm not the best example because I get on stage and perform,
mm.
but if someone's going to make the effort to purchase a ticket, go to a comedy show, and think that, you know, that there is a chance uh, that they're going to walk out of there not feeling anything, that's weird. Don't go to a comedy show if you're sensitive,
No.
you know? So,
I think in order to be able to perform comedy, you have to be at the risk of offending people. And
yes,
it's like with anything, in order to be able to think or to debate, you have to risk offending someone. You're not going to keep everyone happy
you're not going to keep
in any
everyone
sort of
happy.
medium.
And by the way, I've said stuff on stage, and then I've been confronted by audience members, and they're like, "Yeah, you said that thing," and I don't even remember.
Mm,
And they're like, "Yeah, we thought that was, in poor taste." And I'm like, "Really? Like, does does anyone else feel the same way?" And they're
mm,
like, "No, it was just me." And you know who said it? Who explained it the best way? Ricky Gervais.
mm.
He's like, "You go to a comedy show, instead of saying I'm offended, you can just say that was offensive and move on."
Yeah.
There's a huge difference. Like I've been to comedy shows and some comedians would say stuff and I'll be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you said that." But did I get offended? No.
Mm.
I
There's a shock value to it. You're like,
yeah.
I can't believe you went
So
there, but okay.
he
Mm,
said it in the best way possible that instead of saying I'm offended, you can just say that's offensive. How can you expect to go to a comedy show
mm.
and and get offended? That's like going to a candy store and getting mad at them because you're diabetic. That's
Yeah.
that makes no sense. Like, you walked in here, bro.
Mm.
So I'm gonna try that one day just to see how they react.
Mm.
And then when they start questioning it, I'll be like, that's how I feel when people show up to my shows and get offended, especially if I'm, saying something that's not really considered offensive.
Mm. Yeah. It's kind of like, I'm sorry you feel that way, but I'm not sorry. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just like, okay. But I think people just, you get that sort of Karen-y character. It's like, that was really, I didn't like that. And they probably expect you to bow down and say, I'm sorry. And it's like, okay.
Yeah, like what do you want to know? I mean, luckily I've never been in a position or in a situation
Mm.
where it went out of hand, where someone demanded an apology or someone tried to take I mean, yes, there was someone once said, I'm going to take legal action. And I said, "Sure, no problem, but when you do, I have witnesses and CCTV footage that you are holding an alcoholic beverage." And then he's like, "Yes, but it's okay. It's next time be careful." Um, so I've never been in a situation where it got escalated to the point where
Mm.
I had to stop doing comedy. Again, maybe because I'm careful
Yeah.
and I've done 17 years of radio. When you're on live radio, it's all about the rules.
Yeah.
Um, we I was programmed to have a conversation with you, describe a brand without mentioning the brand name, and you would know which brand I'm talking about. So it doesn't
Mm.
get translated to advertising.
Okay.
So uh, that's the whole conditioning that I went through,
Mm.
where I obviously knew that I couldn't use foul language. If I am going to talk about brands or products, I'm not going to mention the name, even though with certain things it'll be too obvious.
Mm.
Uh, but for example, if I'm going to talk about a certain topic and there's too much emphasis on the product or the brand, it could come off as advertising, and then that's an uncomfortable conversation I'm going to have with the sales team. So I think years of doing comedy kind of conditioned me to be very comfortable being on stage with a lot of rules. You know, I remember I've done a few shows where corporate show. I hate corporate shows. That's a whole different topic. So I've done a few corporate shows, and the employees who hired me would be like, "Hey, listen, don't make jokes about bonuses or salaries, yeah, because we're going through stuff right now." And I'll be like, I get it. I'm like, I've worked for a corporate. There are certain things if I joke about, I will put the management in a position where they're gonna be uncomfortable. So I'm like, don't worry about it. I'm like, these are my rules too. And then they feel comfortable, to feel good about it.
Mm.
The most I'll do is take a dig at them, like, aha, you got to be at the office tomorrow. Or if I ask a person like, oh, which department are you from? And they say HR, and I'm like, oh, everybody must love you.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
I got so used to, being, even when I performed in India.
Mm.
I performed in India in 2014, and the comedy club manager, he's like, listen, man, I know you come from a market where there are too many rules. He's like, tonight, feel free, say whatever you want. But I still stuck to my rules.
Okay.
I didn't just, cross any lines just because I could, because that's the kind of comedian I want to be.
Mm.
I'm not just going to follow my rules because they're there, because I want to. So they actually made a lot of fun of me for being the clean comedian.
But I think having those guardrails as well, you have to be more creative then
Yes.
with how you project comedy, like with the no cursing. Of course, it's low hanging fruit with cursing and stuff, and sometimes it can be warranted for a specific story or context or for certain jokes and punchlines or whatever. But I think if you're going to follow that guideline, you have to be creative with how you bring the humor across.
That's one of the toughest things, man.
Mm.
I mean, I sometimes wonder, because see, your best work becomes something you hold on to. So I've done my first 1 hour set, and it was really good, and it made history in Bahrain. I did a whole 1 hour on stage after doing like 8 years of comedy.
Mm.
And a lot of people thought it was just something I showed up with and just dropped on stage. And I'm like, no, we didn't have open mic nights here. So I was writing a joke, I would deliver it in Saudi, and then I would do the same joke in Oman, and then the same joke in Kuwait, and the same joke in India.
Mhm.
And then I would perfect it by the time I came back to Bahrain. I'm like, wait a minute, I could just do that at an open mic night. That's when I actually learned about the process. But good comedy writing, like most of the time, I'm facing a writer's block. And I wonder, I'm like, would I be able to write like how I used to? I feel like I've maxed out. I've written the stuff I've written. I feel like I can't write any better. And these are the moments that make me feel like I want to quit
Mhm.
because I feel like I can't write anymore. But the trick is to just keep writing, even if it's not really materializing into anything. Just
Mm.
keep writing until you get it right. And I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, yeah, fair. And as you said, your hour set that you did was that was probably one of the longest sets that had been done in Bahrain, if not
From a local,
at that.
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And the build up to that, obviously, everyone has just seen the hour and they think that, oh, he just delivered this, but there's a lot that went on
Oh,
in the
yeah.
background. And
So,
yeah, and what you're doing now with the ventures that you're in nowadays is trying to kind of bring people into that where they can build up to that point.
yes.
As you said, there's a kind of a cultural thing that needs to kind of shift in terms of the psychology of comedy in the Gulf and in Bahrain, and trying to get people to think in a different way about how they can go about comedy, and like, oh, I can just be like him. I just need to do these open mics. I need to just get the confidence to go up there.
Yeah. And plus being a comedian now
Mm,
is very different. I mean, this is what I think.
yeah.
So being a comedian now is very different than what comedians used to go through 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there was a time you just write, get on stage, perform, and then go through the traditional channels to promote yourself. Now you have to be a content creator, you have to be a marketing guy, you have to know how to you have to understand the ABCs of shooting content and shooting videos. And so I feel like there's so much more to
Mm-hmm.
being a comedian now than what it was before. So it's a whole process. So
Mm-hmm.
I receive some questions, and instead of getting annoyed, I take it as an opportunity to educate the person of what this is going to be. So I announced an open mic night once, and one of the guys performing asked me if he's getting paid to perform at the open mic night. And I was like, you don't get paid to perform at an open mic night because you're testing material. I said, however, if you would like to be if you'd like to become a paid comedian, you have to work your way up to where people will hire you to perform, or being willing or be willing to pay a fee to watch you on stage. And I said, friends don't count. I'm talking about strangers.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him, I said, if I announced your name and I put a ticket fee, like, how many people are going to show up? He's like, probably no one. I'm like, okay, so that answers your question. And
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like immediately the message was delivered, and that person understood, oh, okay, it doesn't work that way. By the way, I received a question even before the open mic night. So I was struggling with finding people to perform. So I said, forget open mic night. We'll
Mm-hmm.
do a closed evening. We'll call it auditions.
Okay.
You know, somebody texted me saying, do I get paid to audition? And I'm like, how do I reply to this? So, and this was before Chat GPT. So I thought about it, and then I replied and I said, listen, an audition is an event where you kind of, audition for a part
Mm-hmm.
or to be part of some kind of production. Um, so no, you do not get paid to audition. However, if things work out for you and it
Mm-hmm.
was great, maybe you could join the open mic nights, and then this could turn into a, money making thing for you in the future. Just be mindful that this is not a 1 month thing. This is gonna take time. And when I explained to them how long it took me to get paid for comedy, a lot of people are like, "Oh, wow, so you didn't get paid for your first 500 shows?" I'm like, "No, I wasn't good enough to charge."
Mm-hmm.
Um, I only started charging when I had a solid set to deliver. And I think one of the most satisfying experiences
Mm.
is traveling and performing. So
Mm.
when someone says, I want you to perform in my city, they either make you an offer or they ask you how much you're going to charge. And then they send you the flight details, your hotel details, and everything. You literally just show up, perform. And I think that's one of the biggest privileges
Mm.
of being an artist.
Mm.
So my first experience where someone booked a flight, a hotel, and made sure I didn't pay anything for food, it was in Dubai. And I was over the moon. And they pay you.
Mhm.
Of course, it wasn't crazy money because
Mm.
it was my first proper paid gig. I remember I came back to Bahrain thinking, I want to do this for the rest of my life.
Mm.
And then when it happened multiple times, it's one of the nicest feelings in the world. Not just because someone's booking your flight, because you feel like all that hard work
Mhm.
is now translating into something,
Yeah.
you know? And I explained it to the guys who do the open mic nights. I'm like, please work hard enough that and I will support you. I'm around. I will help you. I will share all my mistakes so you learn from them.
Mm.
I will help you write. We will write together. And hopefully, three of you will be in a position where I can say, hey, Saudi, hey, Dubai, um, we've got three really good guys and we can put on a solid 1.5 hour show.
Mm.
And then I can take you to a different city, whether we're driving, whether we're flying, we can then experience comedy in different countries. And I'm like, please don't underestimate how valuable that experience is. I was lucky enough to perform in Saudi, all over the GCC.
Mhm.
India was amazing because I was surrounded by so much talent. Every comedian was amazing in India. And that pushed me to do better, you know? And
Mm.
I feel like you have to be around people who are better than you because they're the ones who are going to help you elevate.
Yeah.
Uh, so just traveling to perform is one of the most amazing experiences ever.
Mhm. In terms of like, I guess because you're seeing a new audience, a new nationality, and I guess it's like a challenge. There's probably nerves as well, but I'd say it's like a excitement. It's a challenge. It's like, how am I going to approach this crowd in this country that maybe I've never been to, or this city I've never been to? And as you said, at that point, you're getting paid, and you're getting your flights and hotel covered. And it's like something you've been so passionate about for so long. It's like, wow, now this is actually coming to fruition where I'm getting paid to do what I love.
Yeah.
So I think it's that feeling of that you finally it's finally paid off. It's that
Mm.
delayed gratification.
And part of the process of actually getting there, in some situations,
Mm.
the comedian himself has to pay for his own flights,
Yep.
where there's no performance fee involved.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you want to be part of this? You show up. So years ago, I wanted to perform at this comedy festival in the US. They have no idea who I am. But I have several friends who live in the US who are stand up comedians. And then one of them reached out to me. He's like, hey, listen, man, I think you would be a great fit for this festival. And then he sent me the lineup and the dates and everything. And I was like, yeah, wow, this would be great. And he's like, would you be willing to fund your own flights and your hotel? And I'd probably be able to get you on the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, absolutely. I'm like, yeah, I would love to show up and be part of this. Because that's when you realize it's not just about the money,
Yeah.
it's about that whole experience.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Unfortunately, it never happened.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember exactly what happened. I don't know if I couldn't travel or the festival got canceled. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I got an email from the organizers saying, "Hey, so and so told us you would be willing to be part of this festival, and you probably will find your way to the U.S. and we've seen your stuff, and we agree with him. You'd be a great fit."
Mm-hmm.
So comedians also have to make that effort that where if they can invest in themselves,
Yeah.
whether it's buying cameras, or getting on a flight and being part of a lineup that's going to make a difference, I believe that's also important as well. Until you reach to a level where you can play that card where, oh, my requirements are a performance fee, hotel, flights, and
And then you might have a rider if you're yeah, up there.
And
Like,
I've seen the tech writers for the big comedians. It's honestly, to me, if anybody wants inspiration, is to get their hands on a tech writer
okay,
to see the kind of stuff they need from a production perspective
right,
and a personal perspective.
okay,
So something personal could be as simple as I want, you know, Diet Coke to be available in the green room. I'm allergic to walnuts, so please no walnuts. Like you can actually create that rule book for them for what you want in the green room to snack on, or if you have any dietary
yep,
requirements. So I believe if comedians want inspiration, they should check out a bigger comedian or a class A comedian's tech writer.
okay, interesting. And as you said, the personal writer as well, because you sometimes see them go viral online, like big celebrities writers. I think I can't remember who it was, but someone had just a ridiculous list of demands.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it can be quite entertaining to look at those. But yeah, when you get to that point, it's that delayed gratification. As you were saying, this guy was asking, was he going to get paid to
Perform at an open mic,
open mic?
test
And
material.
then yeah, and I think a lot of people just want instant gratification. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, I've gotten to this point where I'm getting on stage and it's ballsy enough now where I'm getting up and speaking in front of a crowd, so I should get paid, shouldn't I? And but no, there's a long delayed
It's
process,
yeah, it's a
like with anything. But
like with anything. And by the way, several people asked me if they get paid to
hmm,
perform at an open mic night. Some didn't like the answer. Some were like, "Oh, that does make sense." And the ones who didn't like the answer, I asked them, I said, "When you started your first job, did you ask for a manager's salary?"
hmm,
No, you didn't.
yeah,
If you did, this means your wasta is insane. But
yeah,
I'm like, it's a process. You gotta earn it.
yeah,
It comes with experience.
sure. And I guess it's an education as well. It's like going to university, getting to go to those open mics, getting exposure to more experienced people. Like that's kind of invaluable in itself. So it's kind of almost like asking a university to pay you to
Yeah.
attend in a way. But yeah, I think it's great that you're trying to introduce that whole open mic scene in Bahrain, because there isn't there so the comedy club scene in Bahrain in terms of the physical premises, there's only one that recently has opened. Is that correct? Is there one opening, or is there?
A comedy club?
Yeah.
I hope so, but
Okay, maybe I'm getting confused with I thought that there might be one upcoming, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
I really hope you're right though, because we need that in the
yeah.
country.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
I could have been thinking of because you said Dubai. Their first
Dubai,
one was
yes.
the pepperoni,
Pepperoni Comedy Club.
and that's
Fantastic
when
venue.
did that open?
December last year. So
Okay,
not too long ago.
I might have been getting my wires crossed with that of thinking that there might be an upcoming one in Bahrain, but at the moment the comedy scene is obviously in certain venues in like
Yeah,
hotels and apart from the amphitheater where they get
the big
the
names.
big names.
Yeah.
Um, and I think. Do you think there will? Do you think a club will come to? Is
It's
that something you'd like to push for?
oh yeah, absolutely, because I
Mm,
know the business model, right?
yeah.
By the way, what is a comedy club? It's a venue that serves F&B and has a dedicated area for performances.
Hmm.
This is like any other restaurant in Bahrain
Yeah.
or anywhere.
Hmm.
The difference is that there has to be a lot of effort when it comes to programming. You need relationships with different comedy clubs so you can have different talents coming in. So a comedy club in Bahrain would be very different than a comedy club in any other country.
Hmm.
So if you are to have a comedy club in Bahrain, first thing you need to do is, all right, Bahrain's a very small country. We don't have a lot of talent who can sustain full-on shows,
Hmm.
open mics maybe, and
Yeah.
not even, by the way. So I need good talent to perform here. What am I going to do? You just speak to the comedy clubs in the UK, you speak to the comedy clubs in the US, and there's so much talent there,
Hmm.
so many good comedians.
Hmm.
who are going to want the experience of coming here to Bahrain and performing.
Mm-hmm.
And the math will make sense. Because if I'm going to hire Kevin Hart, I'm going to need that 10,000, 20,000 seat mark. But if I
Mm-hmm.
get up and coming comedians from the UK, US, and even Canada, fantastic comics, and you tell them, oh, there is an opportunity to perform in Bahrain, and then you take it one step further. Hey, Dubai, I've got three brilliant comics coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you think we can host them in Dubai as well? Hey, Oman, and then you can actually tour them,
Yeah.
and then everybody kind of pitches in for their, for the costs,
Mm-hmm.
depending on what costs you can share. So I'm very familiar with the business model. It would work in Bahrain, but it's a full-time job. I'd have to quit comedy
To be able to run
to
that scene.
start to
Yeah.
start a comedy club.
Yeah.
But is that something that would, something I'd do? Oh, absolutely. Because you've been to my comedy night, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just imagine the differences.
Mm-hmm.
The platform and the venue are the same.
Yeah. And I think Bahrain does have a lot of great venues that can double up
Yeah.
as that, like in the downtown
Oh yeah.
Bahrain. Yeah, there's a lot of
Brilliant,
place.
brilliant venue for comedy.
Yeah, there's already that sort of infrastructure there where you can double it up for open mic night or whatever else. So that's, I guess you're lucky here to have
Hmm.
those outlets.
So yeah, so it'll just be a combination of open mic nights
Yeah.
and talents coming in from abroad.
Mm,
And of course, it turns into an avenue where talent can be developed.
mm,
So think about it. If you have relationships with UK comedy clubs in the US, and you're kind of developing your talent here in Bahrain, you can actually send your talent abroad.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's very do it just needs someone to drive it. That's all.
Mm-hmm. And with your, I guess the latest ventures that you're in at the moment, with like sometimes funny, and now actually with the speak with confidence aspects, are you're trying to, I guess, push to that point where we have enough people that are confident enough to kind of get up on stages and to maybe cultivate that scene here?
So yeah, so the confidence room was a result of the workshop I hosted
Yeah.
called Speak with Confidence.
Mm-hmm.
That night I realized that it's very important to have a safe space where you can make mistakes
Yeah.
without the fear of judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking in front of a group of people or being on stage is something very scary for a lot of people. I was lucky enough to get opportunities where but I get on stage and I do a terrible job, not just at comedy shows, but at events I was emceeing.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought about it, I'm like, if there was a safe space where everyone has the same objective, so there's going to be no judgment. I am here also because I I'm not feeling very confident when I get up on stage. So if I put everybody together and guide them on what it takes to be confident on stage, I think that would be great.
Mm-hmm.
And I have about 15 to 16 people who registered for the confidence room.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I know not all are going to sign up for the first session, but then there are going to be other people who are going to signing up,
Yeah.
and I'm limiting it to 15 people a session.
Okay. Because
So it's
it's
not
intimate and you can.
intimate and it's not intimidating.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to focus too much on the PowerPoint
Mm-hmm.
and all the details. Anything I can share or I want to share with them, I'll just email it to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's all going to be about the practical experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's the open mic of building confidence.
Yeah.
So you're not necessarily making people laugh, but you're telling your story,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's guided or without guidance.
Mm-hmm.
So I realized that there's a serious demand for that.
Yeah.
And part of the registration process, so what I did is I asked people to register their interest. And on the form, I asked, what is it that you would like to be more confident about? And the answers were so interesting.
Okay.
Uh, and not not a single answer is repeated. The 16 people gave me
Wow.
16 different reasons.
Okay.
And some of them were as simple as I don't trust myself when I am about to speak in front of a group of people. And the lack of trust comes from the fear of making mistakes. So I'd rather just not speak. So I'm like thinking, wow, that's, you know, I really need this person to come in and
Mhm.
say, you know what? I'm going to make mistakes and it's okay.
Yeah.
And I talk about the mistakes I've made. And I think you've witnessed some of the. I've done a lot more, by the way. That's
Th-
it's
But that's exposure therapy. That's what you need to do. People
yes,
people need to get comfortable
yeah.
with kind of flopping, bombing, or whatever
Oh yeah, yeah.
the word you want to use. And
The last show I hosted,
mm,
it was a very interactive show. It was a show with an agenda. It was
mhm,
very well programmed, and the difference between my open mic nights and the show that I produced was this time I had a team. So I had an assistant producer.
mm,
Her job was to edit in real time, filter the questions people ask me through scanning a code, um, anything and everything to do with controlling the screen behind me.
okay.
And I picked her based on intuition. It's not she didn't have experience in the field, but I've seen her in her element when she was working, and I'm like, she would be good.
Mm,
Before the show, I could tell she was getting a little nervous because um, seats were filling up, over 100 people. She didn't say anything, but I could tell she was getting a little nervous. And then I looked at her and I said, by the way, I encourage mistakes. And then she had that sigh of relief. She's like, okay. And I'm like, don't worry about it. If you hit the wrong button, you pressed whatever, you display the wrong image, we're just going to have a good laugh about it.
mm,
And she's like, oh my God, thank you so much. She didn't make any mistakes, by the way. But I thought it was important to make her feel comfortable that even if something did go wrong, it's not that the show is going to be ruined or I'm going to get angry or she's going to destroy the whole thing. No.
mm,
So creating that safe space for anyone to get up and practice that skill of whether it's public speaking, whether it's being an assistant producer on a show, very, very important.
yeah.
Shout out to Ariana. Great job on the show. You were
Great job,
awesome.
Ariana.
Can't wait to
Fair play.
host the next one. It's going to be more than 120, but then you will have to be nervous.
No pressure.
Because, yeah, no pressure,
Yeah,
no rehearsal time.
yeah, that's good and that's important because I think everyone automatically just defers to I need to be perfect here. I can't mess up a slight bit. So many people are looking at me, and that automatically puts so much pressure on you, and then you're bound to just mess up because you're
Yeah.
so uptight and rigid. But like you said, you just relieve that pressure by saying, "Don't worry, and we'll just make a joke out of it." And jokes always just break the
Yeah.
ice.
Which is,
Um,
by the way, it depends on the situation, right?
mm,
Like if it was a very serious show where there were crazy investments made and there were certain important people in the audience who play a role in the success of the show. So the calculated risk differs, right?
mhm,
So the show I was performing in, I was in control of the whole show. So if a mistake took place, I'll be like, it's okay. We had
mhm,
a good laugh. But when the as the role gets more and more important, you get involved with, people where you can't afford to make mistakes. What do you do there? You invest your time in preparation.
mm,
You end up knowing your stuff inside out, so you prepare for that moment. With my show, I had like one meeting with her followed by a site visit on the day of the show. It's not like I gave her all this time in the world to prepare. So it's unfair of me to expect someone to be perfect when it comes to something like this, especially if she's never done it before.
mhm,
But regardless, she did a fantastic job. She was, she even had that kind of mind where she identifies a problem, she immediately goes in solution mode.
mhm,
Instead of freaking out and say, "Oh, we can't do it," she found a solution. So the videographer was telling me, apparently somebody asked a question in Arabic, and one of the computers she was using, did not support Arabic. So she's like, "Oh my God, how am I going to display it on the display computer?" So apparently, what she did is that she copied it the way it is, sent it to her phone, and then from her phone to the other computer. I'm not sure why she had to do it. I'm sure
Mm,
she had a good reason.
mm,
But the fact is that she found a solution for a problem on the spot.
mhm.
And that's one of the reasons why I picked her. I could tell, I'm like, ah, this person seems to be switched on and
Mm,
is constantly aware of what's happening.
mm.
And that's the kind of people you want for shows like this.
Okay.
Because things go wrong all the time. You
Yeah.
know, notes go missing, microphone stops working, lights go off,
Mhm.
somebody played the wrong song, and it happens, you know?
Yeah. And when people realize that stuff happens, it's fine. It's not the end of the world.
Not the end of the world, yeah.
Obviously, it depends on what type of gig it is. Sometimes the stakes are a bit higher,
Yeah,
but
that's where preparation is important.
yeah. But overall, I think with anything, with comedy, with public speaking, anything in a public setting, people just need to kind of learn and realize that everyone's human.
Yes.
If you mess up, no one's going to hold it to you. People, there's that empathy in the crowd that people want you to do well, as well, unless they're a bit sociopathic or whatever. But that's what I learned, going to Toastmasters and going to your Speak with Confidence workshop and stuff like that. It's just, and when you meet newer people that have joined, you can tell that they have that sort of mindset. They're like, I can't mess up, but it's nice being able to put them at ease, because I needed that at the start. When I started doing that, I needed to be put at ease, and you're constantly just looking for threats, I guess,
Mm.
because it's that your body goes into that fight or flight before you're getting up to speak or perform. And that used to happen to me so much in university before giving presentations and stuff. I was just so, I had that sort of self-limiting belief that I wasn't any good at that. And so it just was always solidified in my mind that you're going to screw up, you're going to screw up,
Mm.
and it's going to be terrible. And I always just stumbled through those, and I just never had, up until about a year and a half ago when I went to Toastmasters, and just, you're in that safe space where you can mess up, and
Yes.
it's fine. And people need that. People need to be able to go into a space where they can just get that exposure therapy to say it's actually
Yeah.
fine. And
Show up in freestyle.
yeah, yeah, and I think that's why it's important, your this new route that you're going down with speaking with confidence, not just in comedy but in anything.
And anything.
And yeah.
You know, when you get good advice, one of the best things you can do is just to hold on to it and always remember the good advice people give you.
Mm.
And when I first started radio, I remember it was June 2006, a lifetime ago. Oh my God, that's
Almost
20
20
years.
years.
Oh yeah, that's 20 years ago. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
in your head it probably feels like less than 10 years,
It
but
feels it oh my God, it does feel like it was just, I know it's a very cheesy thing to say, but it does feel like yesterday. My God, it's been 20 years.
yeah.
So my at the time, uh my supervisor at the radio, Mr. Mohammed Romehi, he taught me some valuable lessons.
Mm.
And when I first went on air, I remember I was so excited. I was going through my training phase. He called me and he's like, "Are you free Wednesday night?" Like, yes. I got so excited. I'm like, "Oh my God, he's going to tell me that I'm going live on air." He's like, "All right, Wednesday, 6 p.m., you're going live." I'm like, "Oh my God, I can't wait." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there." So I remember before, so he would sit with me. He wouldn't just throw me into the deep. No, he would sit with me. He sat with me the first few shows. And he's like, "I'm going to be with you until you prove to me that I can trust you enough to handle the show on your own." So I'm sitting there, I'm like, I gotta win his approval, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I went on air, I did my first link, and he's like, that was good, that was good. He's like, "Listen, I want you to imagine that you're talking to your best friend." I'm like, huh. He's like, "Yeah, I want you to be comfortable because when you're comfortable, whoever is listening to you is also going to be comfortable." He's like, "If they hear it in your voice, they are going to be uncomfortable listening to you." So he's like, "Think about it as if you're talking to your best friend, turn the mic on, and just be relaxed."
Mm-hmm.
And that stayed with me. So I was on air for 13 years. That stayed with me every time I was exhausted. I wasn't sure of the stuff I needed to talk to. I'm like, all right, imagine you're talking to your best friend. The other part, because I was a little nervous about making mistakes. He's like, Imran, if you ever do make a mistake, you hit the wrong button, you mention the wrong name. He's like, all you have to say is this only proves that I'm human.
Mm.
Do, those two things stayed with me for my entire career on radio. And whenever the newcomers came in, I gave them the same advice. So when people give you good advice, even if it's only relevant to the time they give it to you, just I say it's gold and value that they have put together from years of their experience. And when they hand it over to you, you should cherish it. So
Hmm.
so now these are lessons that I'm kind of sharing at these workshops. Where
Hmm.
imagine you're talking to your best friend, because when you're talking to your best friend, you're comfortable. This
Yep.
is a person that you have an emotional connection with.
Hmm.
Um, that's why when and I'm gonna turn into the host and ask you about your boxing history, because I noticed some proof and evidence that you box.
Yeah.
Um,
So,
so when I used to box, I
mm,
used to,
mhm.
and I would do the pad work for someone. I'll be like, "Who do you hate?" They're like, "What?" Like, when you're punching, I want you to imagine you're punching the person you hate, and all that power comes out. Of course, I wouldn't say that at a speak with confidence session. But yeah, so like tell me about you, man. Yeah, I can tell some evidence around that you're either into boxing or you're
Yeah.
selling that stuff. I don't know.
I'm not selling it. No, I've been into MMA for about six or so years now. Not in like I'm not semi-pro fighting or anything. I've been really passionate about training in it, and I've been doing that since the start of COVID.
Oh,
Um, because I trained in fitness for a while up until COVID, and then it sort of I ended up um yeah, when they closed for a while temporarily and stuff, I didn't end up kind of going back. And I started doing some boxing training there. And then there was one of the coaches there, he was kind of a part-time coach. When the gym closed, he said, "Do you want to do some private training and we can continue doing it in private?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And kind of since then, I've been doing. I took a little break for a while. I had some surgery and stuff, but I'm back into it now in the last few weeks. It's not pure boxing; it's just MMA, so it's everything really. But striking and boxing is a big part of it. So yeah, it's something that I've been doing for a while, and I just love the physicality of it. I love the discipline. I love the technicality of it. I yeah, I maybe some people might say it's sadistic, but I like the physicality. I kind of enjoy getting a bit hurt, getting a bit bust up, but
I can relate.
yeah, it kind of just it builds that sort of resilience in you to show that you're not made of glass, you're not that fragile, and I just love the whole process of it, of the whole culture of jiu-jitsu, MMA, and that whole world. So yeah, and I think it's my favorite kind of physical activity.
Oh yeah,
Um,
you can never go wrong with boxing, man. Like martial arts was a big part of my childhood.
mhm,
But when I started, the most we had was taekwondo.
mhm,
And then a few kickboxing classes were available in certain places.
mhm.
Boxing wasn't a thing until recently, in the past 10 years, maybe.
Yeah.
Um, One of the best boxing coaches in Bahrain is JD Boxing. I don't know if you know him.
Oh yes, yeah, yeah.
He's brilliant. I've
Mhm.
trained with him. And yeah, martial arts was a very big part of my childhood. It was so you any club, regardless of what style it was, I would just go and
Yeah.
learn, whether it was taekwondo, whether it was kickboxing, whether it
Mhm.
was, and then I eventually stuck to Muay Thai.
Yeah.
Um, and one of my most fruitful experiences was doing Muay Thai at Tiger MMA in Phuket.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that was an experience.
Mhm.
I spent like 4 to 5 weeks over there,
Nice.
just doing random strength and conditioning classes, and then doing Muay Thai in the evenings. And
Mhm.
it was, and I think one of your cameras went off.
Oh, yeah, just give me a second. It says battery.
I don't know where we
So we're
stopped.
back.
We were talking about martial arts,
Yeah, we
and
were. What exact? We were talking about. Oh, you went to Phuket to Tiger. Is it
yeah,
Tiger? Yeah,
Tiger MMA or
I know a
Tiger
few
Muay
people over here from the gyms that would go over there. I haven't had the pleasure of going there yet,
Thai. I
but
highly recommend.
I keep. There's a friend of mine. Shout out to Mark Mooney. He goes to Thailand every year on a fitness retreat. It's not to Tiger. It's not specifically MMA. It's generally kind of like boot camp and stuff. But I've been meaning to. I keep telling myself I'll do it, and
You,
I just don't. I think I need to just book it
you
and go.
seriously just book it
Mm,
because see, I've done that once,
yeah,
and it is a life-changing experience.
yeah.
Uh, it's the only place in the world where you're gonna get good sleep,
Mm-hmm.
eat clean,
Yeah.
train with professionals,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and they're like, recovery centers all around. It's all in one place.
Yeah.
And because you're kind of like on vacation, so it's not like you're gonna be working,
Mm-hmm.
unless you do that, I don't know. But I highly recommend it. Like you try it at least once and minimum go for 2 weeks.
Okay.
And if you can do a month, even better.
Right.
Because I did it for over a month and I did not want to come back to Bahrain.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you know what? I'll just open a supermarket here. I
Yeah.
don't know. I'll
Yeah.
sell tea.
Yeah.
You
I'll
know,
make it work.
I'll
Yeah.
make it work. But I highly recommend you plan it
Sure.
whenever you can.
Yeah. I'll do that. I'll do that. Um, but yeah, and just as we were saying, MMA and combat sports in general, I love it. Not like there's so many kind of facets and benefits that you can take from it in terms of a self defense perspective, a discipline perspective, fitness, all of that. But it's just yeah, I just really enjoy it, and I'm always going to do it.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah. Again, it becomes a very big part of your routine. Like you
does yeah.
mentioned, the disciplinary part is
Hmm.
important.
Yeah.
Uh, for me, it was because I used to get bullied a lot in school,
Yeah.
and I don't know. Have you ever seen a Bruce Lee movie?
Yes. Which one? Enter the Dragon.
I knew you were gonna say that. I knew you were gonna say Enter the Dragon. So I was a huge Bruce Lee fan when I was a kid, and silly me, I used to watch Bruce Lee movies, and I'd be like, if I could do that, nobody is gonna bully me.
Yeah.
So I would actually practice the moves in front of the TV. And I actually managed to get some of them because I was quite young, right? So it didn't work. I got my backside handed over to me. But then I met, this is like a Mr. Miyagi story. When I was 11,
Mm.
I spent a lot of time at the Gulf Hotel poolside, and one of the lifeguards was a retired boxer. And I don't remember how it started, but I was telling him that, I'd really love how to fight, but, you know, I tried doing kung fu by myself. And then he's like, all right, oh, your camera is exhausted again.
I'll just leave it off for now.
Yeah, you got that right.
I got the other ones going.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
when you talk, you can switch seats with me because I think that's still running.
That's okay. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, so he showed me just how to throw a punch
Mm.
and just the basic technique. I remember I was 10, 11 years old, and that turned into like a daily thing where every day he would teach me something that would kind of like add to whatever he taught me the day before.
Sure.
The next thing you know, at the end of the summer, I was moving like a boxer because he gave me a jump rope and he's like, learn how to skip. And he showed me a few things. And I was like 12 by then.
Mm.
And I'm like, oh wow, this is amazing. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And then I joined Taekwondo classes and
Mm.
started doing anything and everything I can when it comes to martial arts. And
Yeah.
it taught me a lot.
Yeah.
From the fitness aspect to the discipline that it taught me. I think every parent should enroll their kids in martial arts, whether it's jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai,
Mm.
Taekwondo, anything.
I say that to everyone. I say that to my friends. Just do find a jujitsu, find a dojo near you. You can throw a stone these days in the city, and you're going to hit a dojo or
Yeah.
a gym. And as you said, you might get into it for one reason. you wanted to have that kind of empowerment when you were getting bullied at school, but then once you get into it, it opens up a lot other, I guess, modalities.
For me, I never really used it. So after I learned acting, after I learned how to defend myself and actually punch someone, I never really punched anyone.
Mm-hmm.
I think by that time, all the bullies became friends. And then I
Yeah,
changed schools, so I'm lucky I never had to use it, you know?
yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's good to have it. It's good to
Yes.
just have, but it's as like the discipline aspect of it, the fitness, but also, yeah, I think everyone should know how to defend themselves. Um, Especially in today's world. I'm not saying everywhere is dangerous, but you never know when it could come in handy.
I mean, see, Bahrain is a very safe country.
It is.
I don't see myself in Bahrain being in a position where someone attacks me and I
No,
have to defend
no.
myself. But just being able to defend yourself
Mm.
is good enough for your
Yeah, it
mind
is. It's
that
important.
if anything does happen, because there were situations where I'll be like, "Pff, anything happens,
Yeah.
I know karate, you
Yeah.
know?
Stay back.
Yeah. Ha! So
Yeah.
it's a good skill to
Hmm.
have,
Yep.
you know, comedy and martial arts, these two things
Yeah,
at the
sure.
same time.
Hmm. And shout out to my coach, Mills Fitness. I forgot to give him a shout out initially, but yeah,
Shout out
He's
Mills Fitness.
Mills Fitness, yeah, on Instagram. But he's fantastic. He's great. He's from London, and he's been over here a while. But that's his that's his bread and butter. He's full in on the coaching in MMA.
Sounds familiar. I think I know him.
Yeah, he's Iranian British guy. You might know him to see.
Bahrain is small. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure I've seen him
Hmm.
around, but the
Hmm.
name sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Or might have seen him on Instagram.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it. Just from either a fitness, if you want to do just the fitness of it, he does that. Or if you want to do the self defense aspect or get a bit more intense in terms of sparring, you can do that as well. So, but just on the subject you were saying of in school and getting bullied and that, is there a correlation with that and you getting into comedy?
Oh my God, that was my open mic.
Okay, because that's a trend I do see across comedy.
Yeah, that by the way, that's actually how it all started. That's when I realized what the power of words can do. Because when I used to get bullied and I couldn't physically protect myself, I
Mhm.
immediately turned to, you know, my words. And how it all started is the bullies, they wouldn't just come and punch you in the face. They would
Mhm.
start talking and start bullying you first verbally, and then you would get smacked or something. Again, I come from a very different time. Bullying wasn't, there was no such thing as cyberbullying.
Yeah.
Technology was not a thing back then.
Mhm.
So I was getting bullied by this one kid. He was a lot bigger, a lot older, and he had his entourage with him. And I'm not going to tell you what I told him because this is being recorded. But anyway, I made fun of him
Okay.
and I had a very serious look on my face. And he lost his mind. He got so angry. And that I'm just looking at him and I'm like, huh, if my words can do this, that's amazing. How far can I go with this? And then when it happened again, so when you come from two different cultures or you're not the same color, you're different, you're automatically a victim. You're a target.
Yeah.
So I used to get bullied because I was brown and we're like different shades of brown. I know that sounds like
Mhm.
a movie nobody should be watching, but um, so because I was different, and my mom's from Pakistan, I would get bullied because of that. So
Yeah.
this one kid came up to me and he's like, "Ha ha, yeah, Hindi, you're from India," and yeah, it sounds very racist, but
Mhm.
that's what it was. And instead of like fighting back or arguing, I decided to give him a lecture in the geography and the difference between India and Pakistan, and why if he is going to make fun of me, he should do it properly. And everyone around us they were laughing, and he was getting so annoyed, and then he just went and he walked away, and I'm like, ha, 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 that's it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do when I get bullied. Now, in all honesty, it didn't work all the time,
Mm.
but when I ended up getting an audience, I felt like there is this victory over the bully
Hmm.
where he would try to bring me down, and then I would use my words, make fun of him, the way he looked, the stuff he said, and immediately whatever he was trying to do was disabled. Why? Because the audience watching, like, well, you know, when two kids are fighting, the kids are just going to stand around, right? So kids would just form this circle, like, oh, this is going to break out in a fight. But it wasn't a fight, it was a roasting session. And I would just start making fun of him. And then that's when I realized this is a superpower. And I think that's where my open mic started. Not the best way because it was me roasting people.
Mm.
But that's when I realized humor played a very big role. So if you think about it, it wasn't boxing or martial arts that protected me, it was humor.
Mm.
I crack jokes when I'm uncomfortable,
Mm.
and it's a problem. Imagine someone's trying to have a serious conversation with you and they're telling you about how they feel and they're expecting you to be
Mm.
receptive. And then I say something funny.
Mm.
And then I make it worse by immediately apologizing and saying something else that's funny. And now I have no friends.
It can be a strong tool if used correctly, and it's a defense mechanism.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And
and but you do see a trend of people who maybe struggled with bullying at school because
yeah.
it's a way to either maybe curry favor a bit with the guys who might have been doing the bullying. They're like, this guy's funny, he's all right, we'll leave him alone, he can crack jokes.
I mean,
Or,
I think I did win over a few bullies and we became friends.
mm,
Uh, but that, yeah, that could happen.
or you can disarm them. You could either or, but
Yeah, I've said some mean things to bullies and they lost their minds. And I would, and it's even funnier when they're yelling and I'm like this. Because in my mind, I'm controlling the situation with
yeah.
my words.
Mm.
Um, and believe it or not, this is a daily struggle. When I
Mm.
say this is a daily struggle, this something happened this morning where I ran into a friend of mine and he cracked a few jokes and I'm like, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it. And I'm like, I have to remind myself, not
Yeah,
everyone's gonna take my jokes.
yeah.
I don't know if you've ever been through this. Someone asked me, they're like, you've offended people from your jokes, right? I'm like, yeah. They're like, how offensive are you? I'm like, I get uninvited to weddings. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I got uninvited to a wedding worse because I upset the bride and groom with one of my jokes.
Yeah, it's just the territory. It's just again as we were talking about the risk. That's the risk that you run
Yes.
being in the space. So you can't. You're not always gonna please everyone.
It's
That's
not just with comedy, by the way. Years ago, I interviewed at this company. I was looking for a job, and you know that one question a lot of HR people ask? He's like, "What are your weaknesses?" I'm like, "Oh God, now I gotta make stuff up. Like, oh, I work too much." So I said, "Listen, I believe one of my weaknesses is that I do not have a master's degree. It's a very competitive market. I have my bachelor's degree, but I don't have my master's, so I feel like I'm left behind. It could be a weakness." I'll be honest, I didn't care about having my master's.
mm,
I just wanted to say something smart.
that they wanted to hear.
L-
Mm.
Little did I know that I offended the guy, and he got so mad, and he's like, "I don't want this guy." And I found out later that he got offended because he doesn't have his master's either. So he's like, "What does he mean? Is he calling me weak? Is he saying that there's something wrong?" Like the guy didn't want to think about the fact that I don't even know who he is.
Mm.
I don't even know if he has his master's or he has a certificate from Mr. Miyagi. I don't know. But he got really upset. So I never know when I upset people. So it's a risk I run, not just while I'm performing. I mean,
Mm.
someone's going to get offended listening to this podcast and I'll have no control over it.
It's fine. It's fine. I think you free yourself once you kind of accept that, as opposed
Yeah.
to worry about it. And that was one thing that I thought about before kind of getting into this. I was like, oh, I might say something that someone gets offended by or that's a bit controversial, but I'm just whatever,
Yeah.
I'm not going to go out. I'm not going to try to be provocative. I'm not going to
Yeah.
purposefully, but I mean, if I say something that someone doesn't, that's fine. I mean, it is what it is, you
Yeah.
know?
So,
Uh,
and I've had a lot of funny moments doing live radio
mm,
where And I remember there was this one, oh my God, this was almost 20 years ago. I was having a chat with someone live on air, and she accidentally said something like, "Oh, your weird accent." And then she realized that there is a chance she's gonna upset a lot of people because she
Mm,
called my accent weird.
mm,
And she went, "No, no, sorry, I don't mean weird accent. I mean like your accent. It's not very common for locals and stuff." So she immediately tried to cover it up. And then when I turned the mic off, I'm like, "Are you okay?" She's like, "I just went into a panic because I don't want someone to listen to me and say I called all the Bahraini people that all or misunderstand that I said all Bahrainis have weird accents."
mm,
And I was like, "It's okay, you're fine." And no one said anything.
mm.
It was at a time that if you make a mistake on air and you think no one's listening, and oh my God, the phones are ringing, and that's when you go, "Oh, a lot of people are listening." Okay, more than I thought,
Yeah.
because it was like Friday 7 a.m.
Mm,
I'm not kidding. I used to do Friday morning 6 to 9 a.m. and I'd be thinking, I'm like, yes, I'm sure not a lot of people are listening. And then I
mm.
got asked a question and the phone start ringing. I'm like, oh wow.
Oof.
Yeah.
Do you miss it? Radio?
Hosting live radio? Oh
Mm,
yeah. That was my favorite part about being on radio
mm,
because I when I was there for 17 years, I wore multiple hats.
mm,
Uh and the one thing I missed the most is when I took over as a member of management
mm.
was hosting live radio because you are interacting with your listeners, you're playing their favorite songs, you're giving them shout outs. And when somebody hears their name on air, like they'd be in the car and you go, "Hey, thank you for tuning in. Big shout out to PJ. Thank you for your call. Here's your favorite track by Justin Bieber." I don't know. I just
Mm,
assumed your favorite is Justin Bieber.
mm. You're right.
And you would just make their day. And one of my radio drops was, uh, "Have you reached your destination? Stay in the car because you never know what you might miss." And the reason why I came up with that is because there are people who used to call me when I was live on air saying, "We've reached home,
Mm,
but we're curious to know what song you're going to play next because we're really enjoying the music and we've got this fear of missing out."
okay.
And that's when I'm like, all right, now I'm going to connect with them with the information they're giving me.
Right.
Um, and
So it's
and
interactive.
yeah, that's what I miss about it
Yeah.
because you don't know, there's nobody in front of you,
Yeah.
but you are aware that there are God knows how many people listening to you while they're in the car. That's what the culture, the radio
Mm,
culture here is in Bahrain,
mm,
because we're a culture that we're constantly moving from one place to another.
mm,
And we don't use public transport as much. We're always in our cars.
mhm.
Um, and believe it or not, I've made friendships this way. Like I would run into someone and they'd be like, "Hey, remember me? I was the guy who used to call and request Metallica every weekend, remember?" I'm like, "Yeah, I remember. I
Mm,
recognize the voice."
mm,
Because Bahrain is so small, that was the beauty of it.
mhm.
And when I realized, well, two things were when you're on live radio and or just radio in general, and you start connecting with people, two things happened. One, I realized that you can play a role in someone's life, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. And two, I felt very old. I'll tell you. And both of them are connected. I was at a friend's place and there was someone with us. And then she looks at me and she goes, "Are you Imran Al Aradi?" And I said, "Yes." She's like, "Yeah, I thought I recognized the voice." And I'm like, "Yeah, I was on air a lifetime ago." And she goes, "You were my entire childhood." And this is a grown woman.
Mm,
And I'm like, "Thank you for saying that. You make me feel very old, but thank you. I take that as a
mm.
compliment." She's like, "You have no idea." She's like, "I used to listen to your midnight show. I had a show from 9 to midnight. I called it alternative therapy because I used to play alternative rock.
Okay.
And you would hear Lifehouse, Three Doors Down, Stained. I'd go a little heavy towards 11 p.m. I'd play Korn,
Hmm.
Limp Bizkit, System of a Down. I played all these bands.." And she loved that type of music. So she's like, "I used to listen to that. when I was a kid. And then she's like, next thing you know, I'm on my way to school and you're on the morning show. So she's like, every morning before I'd get to school, it's you on air. And she's like, we're just sitting in the car laughing at the random stuff you and your co-host are talking about. So she told me, she's like, you were a very big part of my childhood. She's like, my school memories are tied to, she's like, I would tell my dad, oh, I want to get in the car earlier because I want to know what I want to listen to the show. And because it was valuable because once it hits 9 a.m., that show is over. There was no content on demand. It
Mm-hmm.
was live. So that's the one thing I miss.
Yeah.
That having a positive effect on someone's life.
Mm-hmm.
And there were also moments where I had a Wednesday night show, and it was at the time where the host himself is curating the music,
Mm-hmm.
and that was one of my favorite things to do. And I would get a call live in the studio. I mean, we're not live on air, but like
Mm-hmm.
I take the call off air, and I would say, "Hi, this is Imran," and there was just one person. She's like, "I was having a terrible day until I heard my favorite song on the radio, and it was like a surprise because she's not controlling it, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "I'm glad you feel that way. I hope your day is better tomorrow." And she goes, "Yeah, thank you so much." She's like, you played my favorite song." And I even remember the song. It was Usher. It was a song by Usher.
Mm-hmm.
And that conversation stayed with me. She's like, "I've had such a bad day and now I feel so much better. Thank you for that." If you think about it, what did I do? I just played a song, but it had such a positive effect on someone that I was like, "Wow, I did that." And then when I hung up, I went back on air and I gave her a shout out,
Mm-hmm.
And then she called again. She was like, "Oh my God, I heard my name on the radio." And
Mm.
uh, I miss that.
Yeah.
That's something I feel like could still happen on social media, but the interaction's different.
Yeah. It's more conventional, and then you're using your kind of imagination as to the people that you're interacting with
Yes.
over the airwaves, and it's a different sort of feeling. I can imagine.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah. It's
yeah, that's nice. That's really I never really kind of thought of it from that perspective, like the kind of positive impact you can have. And then her saying, "You were my childhood," like literally, you're in
yeah.
her ear
M-
in the evening, in at night, in the morning. So that's really nice.
Makes
Very
you
wholesome.
Yeah, very wholesome. Makes you feel
Mm.
super old because again, she was not like she was 12. She was a grown woman.
Yeah, super
And
old but good.
yeah, I thanked her. I said, "Thank you.
Yeah,
This means a lot."
yeah, yeah. It's nice.
And I got that comment from several people.
Mm.
Um, and believe it or not, this is actually quite funny. I was in Phuket, and there was this girl with us in one of the classes. She overheard a conversation that I was from Bahrain, and she goes, "I'm sorry, what is your name?" And I said, "My name is Imran." And she's like, "Are you the guy from the radio?
Mm.
We're in Phuket." And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, did you live in Bahrain?" She's like, "I lived in Bahrain years ago." And she's like, "I used to live in Amwaj and my office was far away." So she's like, "I used to catch your show." And she's like, "That was my jam." And she's like, "I
Mm.
never thought I would run into you at a strength and conditioning class in Phuket years later." And I'm like, that is very weird. That
Because
is how small is this world?
I guess to a lot of people, you're just this disembodied voice
Yeah.
in their car. So it's probably surreal to then put the voice
Put a
to,
face to the voice.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And again, I
Um,
started in 2006. Social media wasn't a thing.
mm,
We had Facebook. It had
yeah.
just started.
And YouTube had just started
YouTube had just
2006.
started,
Yeah.
but it wasn't as accessible
No,
on your phones the way it is
no.
now. And I think in 2007 people started accessing Facebook from their phones. It was those Blackberries.
Hmm.
You were probably 12 years old. I'm guessing, I don't know.
What year was this?
2007.
A little bit older, but
13. So yeah, so we could access Facebook from our Blackberries, and that was a
Mm,
thing like, "Oh, I can respond immediately.
mm,
I am so cool." Um, and of course, and now we are connected to our phones like it's part of our DNA, unfortunately. But I am glad that I witnessed and lived life before technology took over,
Yeah.
because that feeling of connecting with human beings without technology is precious. I
Mm.
miss that.
Yeah.
So phone calls, oh my God. So landline would ring, and while I'm talking to someone, I could see on the, it was like one of those old school phones. You could
Mm.
see how many lines are ringing in the background.
Yeah.
4 or 5 other people are trying to call at the same time,
Hmm.
opposed to getting DMs on Instagram. 10 people can DM you, and now you have to make time.
Yeah.
But when I was receiving phone calls, when I was live on air, whether I liked it or not, my entire attention was on the person I was talking to.
Yeah.
And that, I believe, was the main difference between social media and what life was before. Because phone would ring, I'd be talking to this person, whether it's a song request, whether it's a comment or a friendly chat, I'm not talking to anybody else. But if someone sends me a DM on Instagram, it's one of many. And
Yeah.
I got and then I got to deal with technology, because there's like a hidden folder, and then the hidden folder has a hidden folder, and then those two hidden folders have a secret folder. So I could miss some really wholesome messages.
Mm.
But the landline, that was special.
Hmm. Yeah. It's just that more direct analog manual experience, I guess, that you
And
have to.
and I remember landlines when they were noisy.
Yeah.
Like it would take you a minute and a half to dial the number, and then you wait, and then that person doesn't answer, and you're like, oh, all that effort. And now it's just me telling Siri to call PJ,
Yeah.
which reminds me, no, it didn't activate. Okay.
But it's, yeah, it's that again, that delayed gratification. You had to
Yeah.
kind of work. There was that manual process, which is nice. You took it for granted at the time, but now you're like,
Yes.
I'd love to be able to just do that whole process, because then it's just, it feels rewarding then when you do. But now everything's just instant. It's just click, tap your phone, and
So
it's,
it's everything is a direct message
yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah. It's
Which is, by the way, it's fine. It's great. It's
great
great
minute.
that, I have connected with amazing people because
Mm.
of social media, and I've made friends. And I don't know if you've ever been through this, where you comment on a celebrity's post or send them a direct message, and they reply, and you're like, whoa, Um,
Oh, there's definitely, yeah, there's definitely like pros to it.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
it's still nice. I'm not against it. I feel lucky and privileged that I lived life before it took
before,
over.
yeah. Hmm.
Because when I wanted to go see my friends, I would have to walk
Hmm.
or get on my bike and go
Mm.
to their house. And if I see different bikes outside the house, I'm like, oh, this person's here.
Mm.
And that was a precious time, man.
Yeah, yeah, true.
Yeah.
Um, no, it was, and it's we all took it for granted, because I did have some of that. I was born in the 90s, and
Yeah, you were at the edge.
yeah, kind of at the, yeah.
Do you
Uh,
remember dial-up? Were you old enough to
Um,
recognize that you would spend 11 days downloading one song?
yeah, sort of, yeah, and the noise, that unmistakable, the trill, the
Yeah.
noise of the dial-up as well. Which, yeah, it's just, it's all that stuff that just at the time, it's just the norm. But now when you look back, you kind of, you get nostalgic for it.
Yeah, like I remember, like I used to I was one of those guys that'd download everything,
Mm.
especially music, because I used to DJ for weddings. So it I mean, maybe not in the 90s, but
Mm.
when I started learning about the internet, downloading one song was an achievement.
Mm.
And then, of course, back then we didn't have like, there was no airdrop sharing. If you wanted to share something with someone, you need to
Oh, it's a mission.
make a trip to some store in the
Mm.
middle of nowhere that has no parking
Yeah.
to buy 20 floppy disks to put one file, and then label them 1 of 10, 2 of 10, 3 of 10, and then give it to them and say, use it in the right order.
Hmm.
Do not lose this. And then they lose it, and then you get mad. That was the only copy you had, you know? And you wanted
Yeah.
to buy a computer, and it would cost 800 BD, and it was, the specs were nothing like in comparison to what we have
Yeah.
today.
Hmm.
You spend all that money so you can write a document file and browse whatever internet was back there
Yeah.
when Google didn't exist. Oh,
Couple
sorry,
gigs,
I'm
couple
getting
gigs of memory.
emotional.
It's all right.
I'm, I'm just,
It's
I
nostalgia.
could, by the way, I can go on for
Yeah,
hours.
yeah. No, it's good. It's good. It's good to reminisce about these things.
Yeah, I could go on forever.
But
Seriously.
yeah, no, it's been a great chat and we've gone on tangents, which is
Yeah,
good.
this is,
That's the kind of aim of it, to just flow.
and I don't think we said anything that could potentially get any of us arrested. So
I don't think so.
great success.
And if we did, it's going to be edited out anyway.
We'll,
so-
yeah, we'll find out. Unless this gets leaked, then
Yeah. Well.
all
But
right.
yeah, thanks very much, Imran.
Thank you for having me.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.